This is the type of thing that your customers and community will always remember. Not that you shut the doors, and again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with shutting the doors, sending people home, and waiting this out. But if you do have the capability to remain open and remain strong and be that leader, people will remember that forever. Welcome back to the Foodservice Distribution Podcast. I'm your host, David Layton, and today I'm going to talk about what restaurants are doing to handle the coronavirus, or COVID-19, this economic downturn, however you want to approach it and classify what is going on in the world right now. I'm going to talk about a few measures that you can take as a restaurant or a restaurant owner to get through this. Unless you've been living under a rock, this past week and past 4 weeks have been absolutely disruptive, to say the least, to all businesses, not just restaurants, to all markets, to all economies. We are starting to see some cracks in the larger financial system, and people are, at this point in time, on Saturday, the 14th of March, 2020, afraid to leave their homes in a lot of areas. So I just wanted to talk first about how communities right now need leaders. They need businesses and restaurants, especially. The restaurants are really the backbone of a lot of regions and cities. And the one thing that you hopefully will take away from this is that people need food and they need positive leadership. And you are in a position to find your megaphone and to let people know, if you are open, to let people know we're open, we're here. These are all of the safety precautions that we are taking, and we are going to get through this together. And we are going to get creative, and we're going to make sure you guys have food and water and whatever you need to make it feel like you're not alone, and there are people that want this community to not just get through it, but thrive through it. So that's actually a really good place to start. I wanted to read a quote here that absolutely summarizes the idea behind this recording. And it's from Anthony Pompliano. If anybody doesn't know him, he is the host of a very popular podcast, and he is a part of the Morgan Creek Digital group. But he said something here that really stuck out, and it's this. One thing that often goes unspoken is the companies that can expand while their competitors are contracting during economic instability. So one thing that often goes unspoken is the companies that can expand while their competitors are contracting during economic instability. This requires a strong balance sheet and solid product market fit, but is possible for some. Grow while they shrink, steal market share. Now, that's brilliant, but I don't want to downplay how just how serious this is. Nobody should be looking at this coronavirus or start of a recession, economic downturn, however you want to classify it, as a positive situation. But know that in very challenging times, this is when people and leaders and businesses who can pull it together and get creative and adapt to a bad situation can actually benefit. It's the same saying in any type of investing, that if there are, say there are 4 companies and a hard time comes, one company has 10% of the market share and they can't make it through whatever the situation is, say they go out of business, then that value, the customer base, the product needs, the demands, that 10% doesn't just disappear, right? It moves. So value is like energy. It's not destroyed. It's always it always moves from one place to another. It always moves from a weak currency to a strong currency, or a business that disappears. Those customers are going to go somewhere else. So it's really important to know that you absolutely can benefit from this in some ways if you can adapt and make it through it. So dine-in, obviously, that's a huge thing to talk about. Dine-in sales in my region in the Pacific Northwest are down On Thursday, we were looking at they were down 60 to 70%. That's what restaurants and businesses were reporting, that it was about 60, 70%. I wouldn't be surprised after yesterday's announcement from the president that we are in a state of national emergency in the United States, that dine-in sales have maybe decreased a little bit more. So I would say they're probably down closer to that 80%, if not higher, which is incredibly challenging. If you are a dine-in only restaurant, there's a good chance that you may have closed, but there are alternatives. And I've talked about this in previous podcasts, in previous recordings, that everyone should be taking that three-prong approach, which is the dine-in, the takeout, and then delivery. So an action step here, if you are a dine-in only, would be to just Google delivery services. So there are companies like Grubhub and Postmates and Uber Eats, to name a few, that will bring food from your restaurant to an individual's house or wherever they are going to be. And it's not like if you're listening to this and you own a restaurant, you don't already know that. But this is a perfect situation for why it will benefit you so much through any situation to have those three prongs. Consumer needs are changing. Before this type of a crisis, we were already seeing that a lot of consumer behavior was changing, that they do want the option to go pick up food and leave, go to a restaurant and sit down, and stay on their couch and have somebody bring the food to them. So three-prong approach. Now's a better time than ever to be looking into that if you haven't already. So second thing that I really want to touch on here that is important is your communication. So I already said it. Communities need leaders. Communities need restaurants to step up and say, hey, we are here, we are open, and this is what we are doing to combat the virus from spreading within our building. We are sending employees home if they are sick at all. We're giving employees paid leave. We've loaded up on extra cleaning supplies, and we are taking this very seriously. People cannot come inside a certain area of the restaurant, or we are setting up something outside that you can come and just pick up food and leave. So if you are making changes right now to your restaurant and your business model, and you think that it is a benefit to your community, you need to find your megaphone and you need to let people know. So on social media, with your email list, looking through your loyalty program. If you have an app, if you're a chain and you have apps, make sure that you're getting that message out. Push notifications. We're here. This is what we're doing. We're taking this very seriously, and here's how. So you need to be able to communicate that. In-house, make sure that you have on the windows or on next to your POS system something that says, we are very aware of the severity of the situation. Here is what we are doing. So make sure you're communicating that effectively. On the windows, if you have something saying take out here, or call ahead, or we deliver, whatever it needs to be, make sure that you're finding your voice and that you're standing up. Get creative. There are probably many ways that you can get creative and get involved in community outreach in other ways outside of just the food component. So make sure that you are paying attention to your local newspapers, newsletters, seeing what some of your competitors are doing, and just kind of asking around, how can I better serve the community right now? Ask yourself the question, what does my community need? And figure out a creative way to answer that. That brings me into a really impressive case study on this concept of adapting and turning into the type of restaurant or the type of person or business that your community needs. And if you are on a computer or can get there, and just let me preface this by saying, this restaurant I'm about to talk to, I'm not affiliated with them at all. I've actually never dined there. I've heard very high things, very positive things about them. And they have absolutely zero idea that I'm talking about them. But there is a high-end fine dining restaurant in Seattle, Washington called Canlis. It's Canlis. And they got brought up. We were in a town hall meeting with my company. There's probably 150 people on a call. We were talking about how the community is reacting to this, how my company is taking it so seriously, and what we're doing and what we're implementing. And I got off the call. I was talking with one of the guys I work with, and he brought this company up and said, yeah, these guys they are really living their values, and they're really doing this thing that nobody else is doing right now, or not a lot of people are doing. And that is, if you can get to a computer, go to canlis.com, Canlis, and you can see their website. They said, we're shutting down our dining room and bringing the food out to you. Fine dining is not what Seattle needs right now. Instead, this is one idea for safely creating jobs for our employees while serving as much of our city as we can. We've got this, Seattle. Signed the Canlis family. And their website landing page just says times are changing now, and so are we. So what they've decided to do is shut down their regular dining room, their regular restaurant, and they've set up 3 unique businesses on site. And they've created branding, they've created awareness, they've created, I'm looking at a guy with a Canlis drive on through t-shirt. They created 3 separate businesses. One is a drive-through breakfast. The other is a takeout burger. And the third is a delivery pre-made meals for families, family-sized meals. So that you can do a quick drive-through and get breakfast in the morning, that you can do a takeout for lunch, and then you can have somebody from Canlis deliver full entrees, full meals to you and your family at home. And I think that this is absolutely brilliant. So not only were they able to see the situation, adapt to it, change the business model that they know most people are not going to be, 90+% people in this region are not going to be using, which is that dine-in and fine dining, high-end restaurant model. And they realize there are 3 things that the public needs, that their community needs now more than ever, and they set it up. The overhead for setting up 3 separate businesses and brands and concepts in a short amount of time is substantial, and I don't think that everybody has the capital up front to do that, but everyone can make some sort of a difference in their own unique way. I'm confident that no matter what size of a restaurant or food truck or catering company or whatever it is that you are doing, that you can make a difference and an impact on your community. And to go back to the quote that I read at the beginning about how some people will thrive through economic struggles, this is the type of thing that your customers and community will always remember. Not that you shut the doors, and again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with shutting the doors, sending people home, and waiting this out. But if you do have the capability to remain open and remain strong and be that leader, people will remember that forever. As soon as we get to the point where Canlis, the fine dining, is back open, you can bet that I will be there, spending money, dining, checking it out, finding the owners, shaking their hands, and letting them know they made a big difference to a lot of people that aren't even in downtown Seattle. Me and my team and my group, just looking at this, has given us inspiration to figure out ways that we can be there for our customers as a distributor, be there for our customers in new and unique ways. So we've been brainstorming and coming up with some pretty cool creative ideas to support people. But this isn't about us. This is about you, your restaurant, your community, and what people need. So incredibly impressive. Again, that's Canlis, Canlis. If you wanted to see what they're doing, check it out. It's very cool. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to jump on here real quick and say, everybody is feeling this, supply chain to restaurants to travel, airlines, to energy, the energy sector, oil, with all of that. This is a really challenging time, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. And just stay safe. Stay safe. Stay home if you can. And if you cannot, and you do want to be that person in your community that is helping people and building people up, thank you so much for doing that. We need more people that step up and Now, I'm not saying putting themselves or others in harm's way or in way of exposure, but doing things that show the community that we are that we are going to get through this is so powerful. So on that note, the very last thing that I wanted to touch on is another quote. Something that's been popping into my head lately, and I don't know if it's just the type of reading I've been doing or it's just these interesting, dire times, but something my grandfather used to always say is, this too shall pass. So this too shall pass is a very powerful quote. And there are a lot of different stories about the origins. I think one was that it came from the Bible, and that was... There is a quote that's similar, but it's not the same. Another one is a ancient group of people were trying to determine a way that could, or a phrase that could make happy people sad and sad people happy, because they would realize that right now, good or bad, it's not going to remain. But I think my favorite, and what I like to believe the origin of this too shall pass actually is I heard a story about a great king or a Persian ruler who asked his sages or his wise men to come up with a saying or a phrase that was accurate at all times in every situation. And they went and they met and they thought really deep and they contemplated and tried to figure out what that could possibly be. And they came up with the phrase, this too shall pass. So I thought that was really cool. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I wanted to share. Everybody stay safe. Be the leader your community needs, and just remember that this too shall pass. All right. Thanks, everyone. I would say if you enjoyed this, but if you... if you got anything out of this, if you enjoyed it, go ahead and subscribe, follow me on Twitter. I'll be there at Foodservice Pod. And of course, there's other related videos about what you can do to leverage your distributor relationship and price of tomatoes. There's some things that I've been doing lately, trying to get the ball rolling on this type of communication. So if you like what I'm doing here, let me know. If you don't, let me know. I'm probably going to keep doing it because I have grown to absolutely love this industry and what we do and what we stand for. Thanks, everyone. Bye.